Why this abandoned asylum is the scariest place in my town. Hi, everyone. Have you ever felt a place staring back at you? That's how I felt when I first stood outside the gates of the abandoned Hawthorne Asylum. For years, it was just a creepy story locals told. But when my friends dared me to go in, I didn't realize how much worse the truth could be. What happened inside changed the way I look at the world, and myself, forever. Started as a dumb bet, honestly. My friend Jake had been talking about Hawthorne Asylum for weeks. Everyone in town knows the story. It was shut down in the 70s after some scandal no one really talks about. Some say it's cursed, others just call it unsafe. Either way, it's been left to rot ever since. We went at night, of course, because that's what dumb teenagers do. Jake, Sarah, and I slipped through a broken chain link fence. As soon as I stepped onto the cracked pavement of the asylum grounds, the air felt heavier, like the place was holding its breath. Inside, the walls were covered in graffiti, but you could still see faint outlines of old medical posters. One said, "Healing through discipline," which creeped me out more than I want to admit. The building creaked constantly, as if it was alive. Jake was laughing and joking, but I could tell Sarah wasn't comfortable either. She kept looking over her shoulder, and honestly, so did I. Then we found the patient files. They were scattered across a desk in what looked like an old office. Most of the papers were too faded to read, but one file was almost intact. It belonged to someone named Margaret Walker. The note said she suffered from extreme delusions and claimed to see people who weren't there. The last entry? Transferred to solitary. Patient unresponsive. After that, things got weird. While Jake was busy trying to scare us by banging on walls, I started hearing this faint tapping sound. At first, I thought it was just the wind, but it was too rhythmic, like someone drumming their fingers on a table. Sarah whispered, "Do you hear that?" I nodded, but before I could say anything, the sound stopped. That's when we noticed something even worse. The graffiti on the wall, it wasn't graffiti at all. It was carvings, deep scratches in the plaster, forming words like leave and they're here. Jake insisted it was just urban explorers messing around, but Sarah pointed out that some of the scratches were on the ceiling. We decided it was time to leave, but the asylum didn't seem to agree. On the way out, we passed by a long hallway we hadn't noticed before. At the end of it was a single door, slightly ajar. Sarah begged us not to go in, but Jake, of course, couldn't resist. Inside was a small, empty room with one chair in the center. It looked like a therapy room, except for the chains bolted to the floor around the chair. As soon as we stepped in, the door slammed shut behind us. Jake laughed nervously, but even he couldn't hide how freaked out he was. Then we heard it again, the tapping. Except this time, it wasn't faint. It was loud, sharp, and coming from the corner of the room. I swear to you, there was no one there. But the tapping didn't stop. It got faster, more frantic, until it was echoing all around us. We bolted. We didn't stop running until we were back at the fence. And when we looked back, the asylum seemed different. The windows, which had been dark when we went in, were now glowing faintly, like there was someone or something inside watching us leave. We never went back. Jake won't even talk about it. Sarah says she has nightmares about that tapping sound. And me? I can't stop thinking about Margaret Walker, sitting alone in that asylum, claiming to see people who weren't there. So, if you're ever in my town and someone dares you to visit Hawthorne Asylum, do yourself a favor, don't. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you've had your own creepy experiences, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there.